Welcome to episode 65 of the official podcast for Guardian 1, a Destiny group dedicated to the prosperity of Guardians everywhere. We broadcast live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I am joined by Crimson Warlock.
What's up, everybody?
Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
We finally made it!
And our very special and patient guest, Ariel of AirBubbles Cosplay.
Hi, everybody.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you all for listening to the podcast, however it is that you're choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. You can also take a look at the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you do a search on bungie.net for Guardian 1, you'll find our forums group, of which we'll also use for both comments and feedback. Once again, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the show live, you can search Guardian 1 for the iTunes podcast, as well as go into the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out their website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts that's part of the network, including Aim Assist Gaming, TTL Party Chat, Robust Radio, Ghost and Echoes, as well as the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. Guardian Radio broadcasts every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. That's all I have for now. Moving on.
Thank you very much, Hollow River. Man, I hate being late to the show, and we are right now 56 minutes into 8 o'clock, and what a bummer that is, especially because we have such a great guest tonight, Ariel from AirBubbles Cosplay. How are you doing tonight, Bubbles?
I'm pretty good, and don't worry about the wait. I was, doing stuff on the computer.
Yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. Thank goodness for that. It is great to have you here. I wanted to take a couple of minutes and kind of just shine the light on what it is that you're doing, what it is that you have done, and I think a really good way of getting there is kind of just let us know, tell us how it is that you came to do what it is you do. Like, how long have you cosplay in general? How long have you been doing that?
Well, the short story is I did costume design in college, and so it kind of switched over to cosplay probably in late 2012, and it was really slow, and now I've kind of just been doing it a lot more, and I do a lot of Magic the Gathering stuff, and then I'm currently working on planning 2 projects in Destiny, and then I've done the Queen of the Reef already, which basically ate my life right when Destiny came out. So all my friends were level 20, and I was level 5 when I came back. But it's probably my favorite thing ever to cosplay because the Destiny community is just so amazing and so friendly.
that's great to hear. And you definitely have a knack for it. It's one of those things where when you see pictures online, you think to yourself like, man, this outfit looks great. And then you see it in person, and it's not as great. And I got a chance to meet you at the Destiny pub event at the Rock Bottom Brewery, and I'm here to say that your outfit looked even better in person. Like it looked that much better. Like how much it's usually worse, it was actually that much better. And I've checked out a lot of your cosplay, and it's all fantastic. I'm curious to know how it feels to be so deep into this character, because when I look at some of your other cosplay, I see the you. I see the you who's playing these people, but when you were this Queen of the Reef, like I didn't see anything other than Queen of the Reef. Like I never would have, if we crossed paths on the street, I never would have been like, "Hey, I recognize you." That's not it. So how does it feel to be to so fully embody that role? Because I've seen pictures and people are like bowing to you, like I bowed to you when we first met. So how is it? How is it? This is, you said it's one of your favorite things to cosplay because the community is so supportive, but you're also so good at it. Like what does that feel like?
Oh, geez, you're making me blush. Well, it's kind of weird, I guess. I mean, putting on blue body paint, I guess, definitely changes you, but I kind of just get to have what I like to call resting bitch face the whole time. What she has, and I try and like I feel like I could embody the character more, but I'm afraid I'm gonna come off as a jerk, like bossing people around or making people bow to me. But it's like, no, it's
No,
part
people
of
would
the
like it.
character.
Right. Well, I mean, there was something there about that, and I did in one of the pictures that I took of us, the first one actually. You had this big smile on your face, and it was different, and like you're saying, that resting bitch face. It really sets the mood, like if the Undertaker comes into the bar and he's like all smiling, it's like, oh, I don't know, maybe that's him, maybe that's not him, maybe that's just another giant from the world. And but if he played that part like you do, like I don't know, that's a whole nother story altogether. Like, how is it that you even keep a straight face while all these people are like, oh my God, this is amazing. They're so excited to see you. uh I don't know. That's really awesome. So,
Yeah.
so do you want to give Guardian 1 the scoop? What is your next Destiny cosplay?
Aw, it's kind of like secrets, but I mean, I guess I could tell you. The one that's kind of like the maybe, which I'd like to get done, but it kind of depends on time and money, is I want to make my warlock with the, I can't actually say it, alchemist raiment. Is that how you say it? I feel dumb. I don't know how to say it, but
No,
that
you said it
one.
right.
Oh, good, yay! I wanna make that really bad, and but then I've also, this is the super secret one I haven't even announced on my page yet, but I've commissioned someone to actually design me or draw it. I'm gonna still make it, but a female Varix. So I'm gonna do that next summer.
Awesome. Hello?
Oh no, what happened?
Remy, where are
We
you?
lost Remy.
I scared him.
Maybe he found the mute button.
Oh no. We lost
He's just
Remy.
in shock by what you're saying. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, it's so quiet. People didn't really like that.
No,
Okay.
I'm certain that something had gone wrong.
Yeah,
I was like,
I can.
Yeah, no, because that sounds badass. So
I see on the screen. It said, "Hold on while we try to get the call back."
Oh no.
Right. Okay. So yeah, they lost me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay. So I missed all of that. Do you want to repeat
Oh my
it, or
God.
like I think I actually got done saying some words, and then I saw your little chat bubble going, and then it just went out from there.
I'm not gonna tell you now. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
No, I don't blame you. I lost out. I missed out.
No, I was saying that see, now it's not gonna be as like tense as it was before, but um if time and money and all that kind of like aligns properly in the universe, then I would like to make the Alchemist raiment for Emerald City Comic Con, and which is in Seattle. And then the one I haven't announced publicly at all, except like 2 minutes ago when you weren't listening, but um, is I've commissioned somebody to design for me, like draw, a female Varix. So that's my plan for next PAX.
Wow. That sounds way awesome. That sounds crazy awesome. So do
The
you
funny thing is, we all wanted to respawn probably. Like I wanted to respawn too. To you saying that was wow, but we were all going to step on Remy's toe. He's supposed to respawn first, and then we all pipe in after. So instead, we were all just dead silent before.
You know what? And I appreciate that. And I was actually hoping that you guys would just jump in. Like I'm seeing that the conversation's still going on, and I'm like, no, like
I actually thought the call dropped altogether. Like I thought there wasn't even anybody on the line when I went hello. I didn't expect anybody to answer.
yeah, that sucks. There's a storm in my area right now, in Seattle, and it's crazy. It's crazy outside. Super windy. Happy I have power. Happy we're finally broadcasting. You know what? If I only get to talk every 15 minutes, fine, whatever.
Next time, I won't hesitate if there's a dead space to just jump right in there and talk like I do.
Right? I can't believe you did hesitate. That's pretty awesome. I appreciate that. Okay, so man, I don't even know. I'm so flustered by XSplit not working.
So-
And
So, what's your favorite non-Destiny cosplay?
thank
that you've
you,
done?
Agrios. Perfect.
I you mentioned Magic the Gathering. I'm fairly familiar with that too.
Yeah, I as far as like the character, another character I really like to get into would be Chandra, but the one I'm most proud of that I just made was actually Acroma Angel of Fury, which is actually in my little picture, so that's convenient. But that one's probably my favorite because I just feel like a total badass. So
That's awesome. That's way awesome. You do way look like a badass. And I think that resting bitch face works for you as well on this one too. Like, I think that just keeping a straight face, a lot of people don't know what to do about that. It's what is this person thinking?
Which led you to cosplay, and in particular, like Magic the Gathering costumes, for instance?
What was the first part of the question? Sorry.
What led you to cosplay besides, like you said, you went to college for costume design, and then you said you later got into cosplay. Well, what led you into the world of actually doing cosplay and the costume design?
Well, for like Halloween one year, I just thought it would be fun to do Codex from the Guild. Like I didn't really plan on taking it anywhere. I was just like, I'm gonna make a costume for a college party. And then this is kind of like the really sad part, but I suffered from pretty bad depression one summer, and it actually like cosplay like got me out of it. Like I spent the whole summer remaking Codex like better with everything I learned, and it helped me feel better, for lack of a better phrase. And from there on out, yeah.
You shouldn't feel sad about that. That's totally rad that happened.
I was trying to figure out a way of saying it sharp so it didn't sound like that. Because the way I was going to phrase it is that a lot of beautiful art comes from, the deeper parts of people who, you're not the most popular and nobody wants to hang out with you. What are you going to do? You're going to write Harry Potter. These are sad motivations, but a beautiful thing did come from this, because you're very talented at what you do. I definitely think that you have a bright future here. There's so many people who do cosplay right now who would love to do your level of cosplay, and I have a feeling that you're just starting, basically. I have a feeling that this is the first round of what you're doing, and we're going to see great things from you in the future.
Well, thank you. I hope to have that happen.
Okay, so why don't you tell the people out there where they can see your work, where they can communicate with you, if that's something that you do, so that they have a chance to check out your work. I mean, if they haven't already, it's we like to say around here that if you're listening to this podcast, then you've already seen X, or you already know about Y. And so as much as I would like to think that we are helping you reach people, it's just helpful if you give us some information about where you are, what you're doing, and all that.
Sure. I'll submit the link, but I'm most active under Facebook as AirBubbles Cosplay, and pretty much every other social media like Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. Tumblr, I'm Captain AirBubbles because AirBubbles was already taken. But but I'm most active on like Facebook right now, just because everything else is. It took me a long time to get into social media, surprisingly. So everything else is still very new to me, and I forget about it. So yeah, that's where you can find me, talk to me, whatever. I love talking to people. So
You know, when a lot of these social media outlets first started, I didn't really see the utility in them. Like before I started really becoming involved in the Destiny community, I laughed at Twitter as, basically your basic narcissist's platform. Like, I think people want to hear me talk about something, and it didn't really make sense. But as soon as I joined the Destiny community, it was so clear that Twitter was this place where they were getting together and discussing Destiny. Like, long before the game ever launched, I became part of this Twitter, and it's like indispensable for me at this point. Like, I do so much communication, so much networking through Twitter. It has become like a very vital part of my day. And so, it's cool to take your time to wade into something. I mean, especially when you don't have a need for it. Why dive in? Why why bother? So that's cool. Very cool. Okay,
I
so
always felt like Twitter was very active communication, like a conversation that's just always currently going. Whereas I see more like a lot of the other social media sites, like Facebook, is more like an archive of past information. Like you're looking up what people did previously, whereas Twitter is like a conversation that's happening now.
I see what
yeah,
you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. I liken it to texting people.
Mhm.
It's just exactly like text messaging, and the way the app is set up through my phone, I can just have them come in as if they were directed
Mhm.
to me. Like everybody on this panel right now, I have notifications set up for, so in case you say something, I can respond to it because I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say.
Sorry, Remy.
No, yours are the best, Jez. Yours are the best because I think that because of who you are, it's they're all self-explanatory. When you start talking about existential crises and things like this, I'm in. I'm in. I want to know what you have to say, Jez. Yeah,
And
it's
then you get
interesting.
them at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, you know what? I'm fine with that. Like, I know how to turn the vibration off on my phone. I wake up and I check all the different things, and I'm happy with that. Okay, I wanted to get to two emails right now. Man, I wanted to do this at 8:11, and we're doing it at 9:11 right now. But so this first person's email, I'm not going to reveal their name because I believe that there is what I consider to be fighting words in here. So I will just read it because it's great. I really enjoyed it, and I wanted you guys to hear it, and I wanted our listeners to hear it. And if he wants to come out, or he or she wants to come out, they want to come out and say that that was them, then that's cool. But otherwise, it says, "Hello, everyone. First of all, I wanted to say this week's podcast might have been my favorite one so far. Destiny has come a long way, but I believe it still has a ways to go. I really enjoy your enthusiasm for the game, and I also appreciate your honest criticisms. I'm glad Guardian 1 has integrity and isn't about kissing the company's backside. We are definitely not about kissing the company's backside, but we're definitely not above it."
Yeah, we'll totally tell them we love them to death, and then tell them what we hate that they did this week.
Right? Right? I really
We just
enjoyed
like
telling
being
them what they
honest.
did right. Right? It's yeah, exactly. It's called being honest. Credit where credit is due. I'm a huge fan of that.
my boyfriend and I definitely did that. We went to like the party that they had at PAX, and we were brutally honest with one of the guys there. We were just like, "Yeah, you should probably change this, that, and the other."
Right? And you know what? I bet they loved it. Like, as much as they probably even agreed with you. This is something that I get a lot when I'm talking to these people. I'm like, "Hey man, I need a forge mode." They're like, "Man, I know." um Here's the fighting words right here. It goes on. I also wanted to say I listen to a lot of Destiny podcasts, and Guardian 1 is the only podcast that I enjoy listening to everyone in the group. Remy, you've assembled quite the team. Thanks for everything you all do each and every week. And I don't know, I felt like this letter was really awesome. I really appreciate reading this. And oh my goodness, every single person on the podcast has something you want to listen to. That's great. And I feel the same way. I feel like the team that I've assembled through them reaching out to me and me reaching out to them, like it is a great synergy, and I exactly wanted people who were going to be critical, but who were clearly interested in talking about it. So thank you very much to you who wrote this email, because this is fantastic. And then this next email is from Stobacor, aka Sean. They're in the chat right now. So this person wrote to me and said, hey, why aren't episodes 62, 63, and 64 up on iTunes? Or I don't know if it was on iTunes, but they use a different format that pulls from the same sources. And so he wrote to me and said, why aren't these up? And I wrote to him, throwing River under the bus.
Well, River threw himself under the bus, to be fair.
Right. So he says, thanks for getting back to me and for putting those episodes up. They should get me through my week. I figured something like that was the case, which is why I was patient for a few weeks. I checked Facebook and Twitter looking for anything saying there would be a delay, but couldn't find out, so wanted to make sure it wasn't an accident. I listen to 5 or 6 different Destiny podcasts each week, one big plus to working in a place where I can use headphones. And I want to say you guys are one of my must listen to podcasts out of the bunch, which is why I was getting so anxious for 62, 63, and 64. So keep up the good work. That was like 6 hours of Destiny conversation. We were holding it back on him.
And just next time, bother River and be like, where are my podcasts? And then he'll get on it.
To be perfectly honest, though, it's usually me that's the holdup. So I was happy to throw him under the bus.
You can just bug any of us, and we'll try and get it as fast as we can.
Right. I think the word bug really doesn't go far enough, because if they were bugging us, then we would not be late on these things. We like hearing from you. So let's see. And I asked him if he had anything he'd like to hear us talk about. And he says, as for your questions, there are 2 things I'd like to bring up. One being light level. I hear a lot of people saying they don't like how they can't get 320 light without doing the raid, and they don't think that's fair. I don't see the point in getting upset about it. I think year 1 Destiny created a belief that you have to create, or that you have to get max light level, think Forever 29, and that has created an artificial expectation that max light level is necessary in year 2. Max light level is not that important. If you want to raid hard mode, you are going to put in the time in normal mode to get mid 300s pretty easy, and 310 once you get into the hard mode. After that, it isn't all that important. Even in Iron Banner / Trials, the difference between 295, which isn't difficult to get, and 305, 310 is negligible. I come from years of playing World of Warcraft, and WoW has a gear level which is used to tell where your gear is at. I've never heard anyone saying they needed max gear level in WoW. The gear level is used to determine if your gear is strong enough to do a specific activity, parentheses, normal, heroic, mythic. Second, I hear a lot about transmog. Transmog is changing a piece of gear to look like a different one. It is nice because it allows for players to be creative and makes use of old gear, but I've argued against transmog in WoW for a long time, and I'll continue to argue against it in Destiny. I've noticed that the new gear being released in WoW tends to not look as epic, especially the tier sets, think raid sets, as it once did. I think this is because the gear designers know players are only going to transmog their new gear, so why bother spending the time and money making good-looking gear? I'd love to hear all your thoughts, Stobacor. Well, thank you for writing in, Stobacor, because this was a great email, and I love talking to people who love listening to this podcast, so email me anytime. So why don't we go with Crimson Warlock? What do you think about this? this artificial expectation that max light level is necessary in year 2, and also the lack of transmog allows the creators of Destiny to really push a specific set and spend that time and money to make those things special.
Okay, so first off, with the first topic, the artificial light level, honestly, for me right now, I'm kind of to the point in Destiny where I can't really get hard mode groups, and the normal raid doesn't want to drop gear for me at all. So I'm just kind of like, if I hit 320, I hit 320. Like, that's great, but I mean, my day. I am kind of to that point where I do feel like, you know what, I might hit max light level when it's no longer max, just because I don't feel like I need to put in that time to get to max level. Right now, where I'm at, I can do pretty much any activity, and I'm fine with that. I'd rather go finish up my exotic list and do some of those things instead of maybe chase down some more gear that will hopefully drop for me. So for me, like the carrot on the stick for me right now is more of collecting um, items instead of trying to raise my light level. Um, and then for transmogrification, um, the only way that I feel like it could do justice is we have a giant library of all of our acquired gear, kind of like how the kiosks are now. So we could see everything that we had gotten in the past and everything we've collected to change it. But I mean, to me, that's in a lot of ways a lot of wasted space. I do feel like the way that the infused system is now, it kind of does alleviate a little bit of that. But again, it is kind of hard for those people to really get that piece of gear they really want if you run hard mode and you're lucky enough to get an armor drop to 320. I wouldn't uh, infuse that into anything else until I got another piece of gear that was just almost as high or just as high. So it's baby steps to a true transmog system. So hopefully they can figure it out in the future to give that option to people who want it.
Jez.
Well, I'm actually probably gonna come across with two different counter arguments, which is kind of sad. Firstly, I've seen so many pug groups in World of Warcraft that are asking for, oh, I want such and such a gear score, which is usually how they frame. That's basically what light level is a gear score. So they would ask for a certain gear score before they would let you in their raids. Kind of like how people ask, oh, have you done the raid yet? If you haven't done it yet, you can't do it. That we have in Destiny. So I've seen people ask for that. I want as high of a gear score as possible type of thing. However, I do find in Destiny the gear score that you can get, or the light level that you can get, is higher than what's required. So that's where you're seeing that you don't need max gear score because it's past the max currently. In regards to the second bit where he was talking about transmogrification, I use transmogrification in World of Warcraft more as a way to make complete sets rather than like wear a mixed match of different armor sets. Like Destiny only has one in-game armor set, but with the infusion you can actually have multiple armor sets that you brought up through the light levels, so it's not as big of a problem now. But that's why people use transmogrification. They like making cool looking sets of gear, or sets of gear that no one would have put together otherwise.
Agrios.
Well, I don't. I hear this. I hear what he says about the people out there that say, "Well, I want to get to the highest light level, but I don't want to raid." But I don't understand the person who wants to completely cap a character or whatever like that, but isn't interested in doing all the in-game content. Like, it doesn't click to me. Like, if you're not interested in doing the raid and the in-game content, why are you even interested in getting your light level up that high? Right now, you can't even actually get to 320. The current light level cap is actually 318 because there's no artifacts above 310 as of yet. And that's a whole other issue in itself, is their high-end artifact control. But yeah, it was put out by Luke Smith that like before the hard mode raid came out, that 300 was the light level cap, and everything above that up to 310 was just gravy. And then, when hard mode came out, that stepped it up to the light level being 310, and everything above that's just supposed to be gravy. I think the idea with their system, with providing numbers higher than what they're stating the cap is, which is like 310, is the point is that way you're not stuck in a Forever 29 situation right before getting to, or in this case, a Forever 309 situation or something like that. That way, if you're stuck with a couple pieces of gear that are between 305 and 310, you can get a couple pieces that are over the 310 mark so that you average at the 310 cap. I think that's what they're going for. But people are completionists out there. Some people, don't feel okay with there being a cap range rather than a solid cap number. So it's kind of a little bit, I think, of you please some of the people some of the time and all the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time, with that sort of type of thing.
That should have been the tagline for Destiny.
Yeah. Well, when you're dealing with a game that's servicing as many people as it is, there has to be a better way to put that. Then you're going to have that problem.
And transmogrification.
And transmogrification, I'm a big fan of choice and variety, especially early in Destiny. I really, really disliked that literally everybody looked identical, like completely identical. There seems to be more and more as time goes on, a more diverse look. I think if you're not going to offer transmogrification, then you need to be offering a lot more armor designs than they're currently offering. Have more places to get and acquire different sets. Like, we can pick up those interesting looking random pieces from a variety of different bosses for each of the characters. Well, maybe there should be, entire different sets out and about that can be acquired that way that are all end game level. Because if without transmog, and when you only offer 3 or 4 different outfits for each class, everybody's just going to still look kind of the same to a degree. When you look at some of these RPGs, they have dozens of classes sometimes to design for. So when they come out with a new end-game content, they have to have dozens of new, completely independent, unique armor sets for each of these classes. Destiny only has 3. I think if they're not going to, do any sort of transmog offerings or any sort of, like, the infusion kind of hinges on getting that taken care of a little bit, then they need to be providing more variety of sets to acquire.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Sharks.
Don't get me going. You guys know how I feel about the light system. The light system's broken. It's absolutely crap. I've played hours and hours and hours and been stuck. Well, I'm actually at 310 now, but it's like trying to up your characters, running hard road raid, running trials, next week running Iron Banner and trying to get this stuff. It's impossible to get up to these numbers. But for answering, do I want to do it? Yeah, I'm what Agrio said. I'm one of those completionists. I want the highest light I can possibly get, and there's a lot of people out there that are like that. Unfortunately, it's so hard to get to that point. Especially if you're running 3 different characters, 3 different classes. So yeah, it's pretty lame. I mean, like I have boots that I'm sitting on that are 309 that I can't get anything higher, and I can't infuse those. This goes into the transmog part. I can't infuse those into anything because if I do, it's going to drop the light level a lot, and I just made it to 310, and I don't want to get under 310. So I think transmog Yeah, depending on how they do it. I mean, I thought the end to everything was this infusion, which is a load of shit. But maybe if they fix the infusion, we don't need transmog. But if they don't fix it, yeah, go for it. Let's have something different.
Bubbles, you said that in the beginning you were so busy with this cosplay that you were a very low level. Have you rectified that yet? Like, what is your current light level? What do you play? Are you somebody who's really looking to try and creep up to that 310, or are you just hanging out at 290 somewhere?
It took me a really long time to kind of creep up there, but I'm at the highest I can get right now is 292, and all my friends are much higher than that. I want to get up there, but I swear to God, I have the worst luck on everything. Um, it's all my weapons are like holding me back. I can't get higher. That was something that I was really mad about with the light system was that your weapons kind of count towards it, and I was like, but why? Because this isn't fair. And but then again, this is honestly like the first game I've ever played that has had this system, so it was really entirely new to me, and I just wanted to complain about something. And but um, I would like to get up to 310. I do still need to do the raid. I don't have any hope of getting anything good. It took me I don't know how many runs of Alta Glass before I got all the gear and all the good guns. It took forever. And then of course year 2 came out and all the guns I had were crap. And I was so mad because I was like, I worked so hard for this. Now it sucks. So I'm just bitter about it because I always seem to have really bad luck.
Man, I know that feeling. Do you have Mythoclast?
Yes, I do.
Oh, well, you got a leg up on me. I am without Mythoclast. I have thousands and thousands of hours across multiple platforms. I play on Xbox and PlayStation, and I've never been granted the Mythoclast. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm certain that you played more raids than I did because I didn't really play that many, but I played enough to where I should have gotten it at
Did a lot
least
of
on
Fall
one of the
Glass.
systems.
Yeah, I used to try and do a stream regularly every Friday night, and we would do the Vault to Glass because that was the thing I was actually like really good at the time. So I was like, okay, we can do a quick stream because like I like to sleep and I have other hobbies, so I'm not like gonna sit at a game for like 6 hours. I just end up feeling bad about myself afterwards. So I'm like, okay, I can do this stream for like an hour. It'd be great. And so I got really good at it, and I just did it a lot. So that's why I ended up getting a lot more stuff. But I'm pretty sure the Mythoclast was like one of the last guns I got before year 2 came out. So I was like, yay! And then I never got to use it. So
You
just
know,
sitting in my vault, all sad.
yeah,
So
I'm.
you bring.
What's that?
I was gonna say she brings up a really good point about the weapons having a light level on them too. No one really mentioned that, and that's a really good point. I think it does a lot to kill the current fun factor in the game, especially for casual players. Like she said, she has less time to invest in Destiny because she has a lot of other hobbies that she spends time doing. So when you have even less time than the people like me who spend ridiculous amount of times video gaming, even for me, I feel like, man, I wish I could use this gun in this Highland situation that I'm playing because I really like it, but it's still only 280, and I'm going to have to farm for 3 weeks until I get enough primary weapons to level it up to where my 308 guns are that I'm not as happy playing with. And I think the new system, in a lot of ways like that, gets in the way of the fun. And I mean, it's a video game. That's the ultimate goal, is the fun level. So yeah, I can see how that would be even more disappointing to a casual player and being restricted just using the couple guns you've managed to get up to a certain level because it affects the damage you take as well as you do.
Yeah, and when we were talking to one of the guys who worked in the game, and like I feel really bad, I can't remember his name. My boyfriend would know because he plays with him online. But we were talking about that, and when we talked about like before we found out that Gallarhorn wouldn't be a year 2, we were talking about like he was like, well, don't you want to use new guns? Don't you want to use new things? And it's like, well, yeah, but I'm very attached to my VOC, like very attached to it. So that was probably the hardest thing for me to get over was my I vision a confluence. But
Same here.
it was what are you doing?
Ooh.
Apparently I'm really loud. Sorry.
Actually, you're perfect now. You're a little low
Yeah,
before.
Good.
Yeah, you're getting really quiet at times, actually.
You know, actually, you bring up another good point about where you want to go do these other hobbies, because if you just sit there and play this video game, you'll feel bad. I am one of these people who would be happy just sitting my ass down for hours and hours and hours playing Destiny specifically, but because the RNG is so wishy-washy at best, it really does leave a bad taste in your mouth when you play for hours and you don't get any closer to your goals. And so I think I'm at 297 on both hunters, on my Xbox and my PlayStation Hunter, and it took me basically since the second week of Taken King until, I don't know, just this last week to get there. So it definitely is a grind, and there are certain things that you can do. Like strikes will give you a very large amount of blue engrams. That sometimes I got a 300 blue engram from just a heroic Vanguard strike, and I was amazed and I was super pleased. Um, but so yeah, so having something else to do within the world of Destiny is oftentimes what makes me feel so strongly about it. I enjoy doing this podcast greatly, and this is something where after I'm done doing this for 2 hours, I'm no longer I don't think I wasted my time here. It wasn't like I didn't get anywhere at all. So that's really just good advice for people in general. If you're listening and you've hit a rut or you just can't get to that next level, pick something else to do. I mean, there's short stories you can write and pictures you can draw, and I imagine most of the people who would be interested in doing those things already do them. But it's never too late to start. Even stick figures can be wildly entertaining done correctly. So. And then what do you think about the transmogrification? And Stovacor says that would just feed into this whole world of, well, why make anything new or better or awesome when people are just going to use older things to look like?
What's funny is I was actually talking about this with a coworker of mine, and more on like colors and stuff, but it's kind of the same. Um, and he thought it'd be really cool, but even though I've had guns I think are absolutely hideous and want to throw them away, but I don't like the idea of being able to change them, whether it's the color or what they look like completely. I understand the concept of wanting a whole set, um, but maybe that's something Bungie can work on, is actually getting more gear and guns that actually are a set. But I like the idea that there's like the Vanguard and then there's Dead Orbit, like there's different things that separate sort of these groups of people, or all the groups that are in the game. I like that aspect, and I like that everything's really different. I don't think it kills your creativity at all, because I feel like having all the different gear and weapons and even the different shaders helps with that creativity. At the same time, it's from what I see, it looks like it's a lot different than WoW, so I don't really like thinking of it that way. So I rambled, but yeah, I don't really particularly like that. I like the shaders and whatnot, but I don't want to change what the guns look like or what color they are. I like them just the way they are.
Interesting. They definitely play to this enclosed ecosystem that Bungie is doing. I'm generally not a fan of not being able to edit things to your liking, and that's what Destiny has presented you. You get this gun, and this is the way it looks. I think I just like a little bit of variation, like in Halo Reach. You could unlock a certain weapon, you can unlock a certain chest piece or like a helmet, and there was different variations of the same helmet. So imagine here's raid gear piece A and raid gear piece B and C are the same piece, just slightly different. Like one of them has a chip off of one of the shoulders, or one of them has a knife sticking out of it. Like it would be a minimal effort, I believe. I'm not there creating this game. But in my mind, I think that it would be very doable, and that could add a lot if and they're not going to give us this transmogrification.
You know what I blame, Rem?
Yeah, I know what you blame. I bet Bubbles doesn't know what you blame, though. Do you know what Agrios blames for all of this?
No.
Last gen. It's because they have no memory on last gen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, I remember you saying that in the last podcast I listened to.
That's because he says it in every podcast.
Yep. I just kind of sat there and I was like, yep, he's totally right. Me and my boyfriend, every time we talk about this, I'm like, why can't they just get rid of them and move on? Like, please, for the love of everything. I've even had, I had arguments about next-gen consoles with people when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One first came out, because I used to work at Best Buy. Don't ever work there, by the way. And people would be like, but why is there something new? And I'm like, well, because a new one hasn't come out in how long? So it just makes me angry that companies like Bungie are holding on to those old consoles. And I'm like, it's literally time that a new console came out. You can move on now.
Excellent. Okay, so last week, episode 64, Stobacore, I actually brought up that this same thing, talking about light level and how I am not drawn to try to get end game level gear because there is no reason for it. And so we had this long drawn out conversation. I spent 20 minutes just straight talking about it by myself. And basically the overall theme was that Destiny needs to have endgame content that focuses on basically pats on the head and belly rubs. That's what it came down to. And there needs to be a reason to have this higher light level gear. Like, there is no reason to have this higher light level gear except for to do harder stuff to get better gear. And so if you want to take a listen to that and then get back to me, that was, it's the same thought process, but from a slightly different angle. And so I would like to ask you, Bubbles, right now, because you weren't here, is there an end game content, like an activity or something that would really push you to want to get better gear? And is there something that you might have played in another video game that Destiny could bring in that will push you to actually want to do it, instead of it being a chore? You're just like, I gotta get there. Is there anything like that?
Since I've always been so far behind, I mean, I always felt like I was just chasing and never got to the end. But I can't really think of anything that would really do that, other than, I mean, the raids to me are kind of like the end game to me. Even if I have 6 other quests to do still, doing the raid is kind of like, yep, I did the game. I don't know why. That's how I felt after I did Vault Glass and Crota's End. I was like, okay, I'm good. I feel like I finished the game, and all this other stuff is extra now. So, yeah, right now, just being able to catch up with the rest of my clan and do the raid with them is what's pushing me to get better gear at the moment, because I don't like being that sad person that keeps dying because my guns suck.
I see.
So that's a little bit like Remy was talking about. The accomplishment of beating the final boss finally, at least once, is what's really driving you more than the gear collection. And an example that Remy gave last week too is for Crucible, for instance, if they had a faction war type thing, the each week whatever faction won the faction wars the week previous could have banners throughout the tower, similar to how the Festival of Lost banners were. And that could be a goal that, the community would even be working toward, or something like that. So that and I think that's a good way to look at Destiny. I think that's the way people need to look at Destiny, because they're actively, not only are they actively designing it to not be a goal of getting to that final number, but they're designing it, to really facilitate having the community set their own goals.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things would be, if your clan won, if you got into a clan battle, then much like the Festival of the Lost changed all those banners to Festival of Lost banners. Iron Banner comes through town. All of those banners changed to Iron Banner. It would be whoever won. Dead Orbit's banners take over the tower, and that would be what you were trying to get. No gear. I mean, there could be gear. Like, I'm not saying let's not throw out some cool gear. Uh, but even if the goal, I mean, I would be so interested in playing in order to push a specific faction forward. That sounds like a lot of calculations and a lot of fun. Just to say I played this many games to push Dead Orbit this far, or whatever. Um, so yeah, definitely take a look at that. Optional TV in the chat says that his entire guild is at AFK Tavern. Um, oh, but
That's my clan too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but he says, or she says, Renton, Washington, huh? I didn't know there was an AFK Tavern in Renton, Washington.
Yep. Renton and Everett.
I was actually when I first started doing this show, I was talking about putting together an after show where I would go to the AFK in Everett and have like a Destiny meetup. Like, I would do the podcast here, and then I heard that they have karaoke on Thursdays.
I would totally be there.
So
the karaoke and the podcast.
Right, karaoke and the podcast, like, and it just seemed like such a great Destiny arc. Like, let's have a good time, talk about Destiny, sing some songs, have some great food and drink, and hang out. Optional TV says AirBubbles cosplay is my girlfriend. It was me who tried to fix her microphone. Thank you very much for that. It's funny, as I thought I saw Captain AirBubbles cosplay, and I thought that was your boyfriend.
No.
So when you said that earlier, that was you, I was like, oh, okay. Captain AirBubbles.
He's far too lazy to do any other social media. He doesn't even really do Facebook unless I force him to.
Right. I don't really do Facebook either. That place is toxic. I mean, not like Twitter isn't, but it's the internet. The internet is toxic. Okay, so and then also transmogrification. It is definitely something that I would like to see, but I understand your reasonings, and because I feel like it's not going to be implemented, I don't really think you need to worry about it. But definitely keep saying your piece, because Bungie's listening, and if enough people say not interested in this, then they're definitely not going to go down that road. But I think that they've made it clear that they want to have each piece of gear be something specific, and not something that is negotiable. I think that they did a really great job as middle ground, being infusing. I think that was a really great thing instead. And I don't know. All right, moving on. Agrios. Okay, wait a second. So we are rapidly approaching the 10 o'clock hour, and I know some of us have to wake up early, and some of us are already late, screaming kids in the background. So if anybody has to leave, you are free to leave at any time. Just let me know. Otherwise, I've been given the green light to just keep going. And since we started at 8:53, that might be to 10:53. So if you got to leave, then you got to leave. If you want to stay here and have some awesome Destiny conversation, let's stay here and have some awesome Destiny conversation. So with that in mind, Agrios, why don't you give us the Destiny news so we can cut you off and talk about it?
Okay, maybe my cat will let me say it this time here.
No, definitely not.
Interrupted. This week they're talking about the November update set to arrive next week. They previously mentioned that Banshee will be selling weapon parts in exchange for Glimmer. Now they revealed that that a fix is in for the Night Stalker Hunter Quiver glitch, and hunters once again can enjoy 3 bursts of their Shadow Shot. Also, Shaxx is going to have a few more new items for sale. After next week's update, once you've completed the Blade Dancer quest to obtain your exotic sword, you'll be able to purchase all 3 legendary swords directly from him. This would definitely bode well for those Guardians who are only able to play a single character, maybe don't have time to do 3 characters to unlock all 3 swords, so now they can obtain all the weapons.
or for those of us that have accidentally deleted one of them.
Or for those of us who have accidentally deleted one of their legendary swords. Or infused it, rather, right?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about
it.
So next they acknowledge the data miners in our community, and they tell us that some of the more tech-savvy among us will be able to dig up some details for a new initiative they have planned to arrive just in time for the holiday season. They're planning something new to recognize and reward the Sherpas among us, and they're calling it Refer a Friend. They'll have new rewards aimed at recognizing veteran services to the Kinderguardians. They're still putting the finishing touches on this, and they tell us that they'll unpack the full and final details very soon.
Okay,
so
this sounds like one of those things that we were talking about where there is what is my incentive to keep playing these things. And so I'm curious to know if this is something that's going to be retroactively given, or if it's something that's just coming into play at this point, because I know a lot of people, Sharks, Agrios, you both ran so many more Crotas than you needed to, and oftentimes it was just to help other people in Guardian 1, outside of Guardian 1, and that has to count. That has to count, because how amazing is it?
But I doubt it.
What's that?
I say it'd be lovely, but I doubt it'll be retroactive.
I bet you it doesn't. I bet you it's from whenever it starts on.
And for the title of it, it sounds like that other players are going to have to actively participate in you getting some sort of reward. Like, you're going to need to get, like, perhaps, like, at the end of... This is all speculation. Perhaps at, like, the end of a raid, there comes up a thing, and you can award a point to a member of your team for being the most helpful, like an MVP point type thing, almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you accumulate some MVP points, you get some sort of reward. Because, and if you're a Sherpa, you get, obviously, you're an MVP, you're going to get the point at the end of that. Just speculation of how they could do something like this, but with the title of the program being Refer a Friend, it seems like other Guardians are going to have to be actively involved in you getting this reward.
That sounds really awesome. What if there was a new column on the report player, instead of it being, good work, friendly, works well, or, not friendly, inactive.
In your face, like as in like a tick box, like on the end reward screen, like right over on the rightmost column or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think about this, Sharks?
Yeah, I like it. I think anything they can do to get people to continue to play, giving them rewards for actually just playing crap over and over and over again. Forget RNG. You just work your butt off, and your friends are going to give you RNG.
Yeah, that sounds really great. What do you think about this, Bubbles? Do you yourself help Kinderguardians through, or do you have people in your group that are active in doing this, or do you know people who just run these same things over and over to help other people out?
Well, in my clan, I am the kinderguardian, so I get pulled through everything. But I definitely beg my boyfriend to Sherpa us through everything. So he was saying how he would do the raids and then additionally pull all of us through on like every Friday and Saturday. So he's been the one, and then we have another friend who also in our clan who is helping pull people through, which is really great. I mean, I wish I had the time and the skill set and knowledge to really do that, but I don't, so I just let people do it for me.
You know what? And that's part of it. That's part of the game. So many times I've been pulled through things, and it is a great feeling. It is a great feeling having people who are willing to put out effort in order to help lift me up. I keep like when I think about Guardian One and the Guardians helping Guardians, I keep envisioning one person leaning down over the edge of a wall and grasping hands with somebody who's on the ground, in an effort to pull them up. And it's let's get here together. And this sounds really awesome. I'm excited that this is. It sounds like a lateral movement that will be well sought. There's many people in my group who want to even put more time in to helping others. Maybe not so much since Fallout 4 came out, but definitely overall and in general. What do you think about this, Jez?
It's definitely a good way to strategize all your people that are actually helping other people and get more people to do it. Give incentives for people to help other than the goodness of their heart, and you'll get the people that are kind of on the fence to actually do it.
Man, that's a really good point. A lot of people want to help, and can I help? Do I help? You're right. This will push them right off into, well, I definitely want to help now because by helping this person, there's something in it for me. Crimson Warlock, what do you think?
The refer a friend and Sherpa thing is something that I think is great, just because there are so many people, especially people that I play with, who are like, I've done that already this week like 10 times, but I'm willing to do it again with you. And that's what I love, is those type of people who are just playing the game to help other people. They've progressed as far as they can for their weekly activities or whatever, and they're just playing to help other people and help them have those experiences too. And that's what's great. And having a program that kind of those people for doing it is pretty awesome.
Agrios, and then moving on.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add to everybody else has already said. I think it's a great idea, and yeah. The more things they do like this, the better. I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Sharks, did you threw in your hat, right?
Yeah, I did.
Excellent. Forgetful sometimes. Moving on.
Next week, pending the scheduled update, the Iron Banner will return. For the first time ever, it will feature Clash. Some of us, including myself, called this step whenever, after the Iron Banner's Year 2 return, the announcer clearly specified Iron Banner control when you landed into a match. They talked to senior designer Derek Carroll about the change. He says that I'd expect to see a bit less super ability usage and a lot more shooting across the board, but good teams will work together and hold territory even without the scoring incentives that Control provided. This will be the first time we've played Clash with power differences enabled. He also notes several other changes coming to this next installation of the Iron Banner. Iron Banner reputation from winning matches is increased by another 20%. Activity completion rewards are increased at all ranks, with even more significant increases at rank 2 and above. Packages from Lord Saladin, there will be packages awarded from Lord Saladin or available, I should say, from Lord Saladin upon reaching rank 3 and rank 5. Iron Banner artifacts can now be obtained from the rank 3 package, and Iron Banner Ghost Shells can now be obtained from the rank 5 package or activity completion rewards. So a lot more stuff to be had all around for the next Iron Banner, and you're going to level up even faster than before. I mean, the rate at which you could get all 3 characters through the Iron Banner in Year 2 is already astronomically faster than it was in year one. And now with another 20% from wins, that's simply 20% less time that it's going to take you to get that first character up. And my second two characters in this last Iron Banner, I had all the way to rank 5 before I was done with my 8th match.
That's amazing. That's because you're a badass, though.
I don't think it's because I was that badass, though.
It's
Well,
because you were doing it the last day also with as much buff as you could get.
Right, exactly. The last 2 days of the event, I did my last 2 characters. On Sunday, I did 1 character, and by the time before I'd finished my 9th match, I had completed most of the bounties, hadn't even turned in my weeklies yet, and was already at rank 5. And then the following day, I did the same thing with my 3rd character. Now, my 1st character, obviously, it took longer earlier in the week, but it still did not take that long to get up.
I think, you know, it's kind of silly that they put this extra buff on, but I think I know why they've done it. They've done it so that people that play PvP can do Iron Banner in the beginning of the week, and then they can do trials at the end of the week.
Oh, man, that's a really good call. I forgot all about trials. Because,
I agree with that, and I think one of the things that this was supposed to happen with the first Iron Banner, but it didn't because of the bug that prevented you from getting a lot of the rewards we were supposed to get. I think the idea is they want people to get to rank 5 a lot quicker because they want you to go compete at rank 5 in the Iron Banner more after you hit rank 5 to get rank 5 worthy rewards from the matches you're playing at that point.
That's how I got all my gear. Because remember, I said I didn't want to spend any of my money, so I played literally all the way up until the last hour, so that I didn't have to buy hardly any gear at all. So yeah, I bet you that is another reason too. Totally.
I didn't even think about that. That's a really another great point, Agrios. I was just thinking pure and simple that if, you know, say you're just playing 1 character or even 2 characters, if you just wait until Sunday night, you just fly through it. So I think that what this was the hill was too steep at the beginning of the week, and so people were just saying, well, like, you know, screw it, like I'm not going to play this. And I mean, you're totally right. The rewards and the amount of experience gained is so fast. And I'm still planning on getting all 6 of my characters to level 5. Like, I think I can do it. And I'm going to plan it out, and I will report back here as soon as I know if I'm able to do that. But when I heard that it was going to be Iron Banner Clash, I was really torn. Like, I'm still really torn because I've seen games go to the people who followed the control points, like not the better team, not the better killing team. I've been on the team that actually held down 2 spots, and I'm just seeing them kill us over and over. But because we are getting more points per kill, because we're holding these spots, it goes to the greater skilled overall. But I've also been on the team who just totally ignore the control points and try and brute force their way through. And so I'm really torn. Like, I don't want to have to just brute force. I'm not a brute force player. I'm much more calculated. I'm much more strategic in where I go. I mean, some of this is because I'm not a Rambo player. You know, like Agrios, Sharks, they run straight out and they just kill people in their way. I don't know how they do it. Glad they're on my team and not the other team. But so I'm torn. I'm torn because sometimes you get into a pickup group, you get into five strangers are on your team, and all they want to do is kill the opposing players. And that's not how you win control. Actually, you know what? I had a question for you, Jez. Dato did a video that I've been meaning to watch. But diapers and keeping people from choking have just kept me from getting to it. It was, can you win a game of control without having any of the control points? Are you familiar with the video I'm talking about? And do you know what his final outcome was?
It would be a disservice to not watch the video. But to be honest, I didn't watch the video myself. No, I don't know if
I
you can.
I
You
haven't watched that video, but I know the answer to this if Jez doesn't.
Technically, you can. Even if that were the case, if no one dies on your team and everyone dies on their team over and over and over again, you will win. But I'm not sure how viable of a strategy it is.
Well, I mean, that seems to be what some of these groups go in as the strategy. Like somebody else will capture this control point, and I'm just going to go do my best at killing people. So, was that what you were going to say, Sharks?
Yeah, I have been on teams where they have not taken the control points at all, and they just slaughtered the other team. But the increments that you go up in points is so much slower. This is actually why, and I kind of wish that they would do this with Iron Banner. I like the other version of control where it is actually controlling spots and has nothing to do with kills at all. That's how Iron Banner control should be. Forget the kills.
Wouldn't it
So
be
you want
crazy?
zone control?
Yeah, wouldn't it be
I want
crazy if Iron Banner was
proper
zone control?
Yeah, because that is true team. I mean, it's not to say. I mean, all of this is true team stuff, really. But when you're actually playing control and you're controlling the zones, that's where it really, really should matter. And it really bugs me that you can go in there and you can win games without controlling the zones.
Right, and this whole Iron Banner is going to be all about that.
Yep.
So, okay, so let's start with you, Crimson Warlock. What do you think about this Iron Banner clash? Good thing, bad thing, other?
Finally, something new. Like, I'm excited to see something new and to experience a different version of Iron Banner.
Jez?
Yeah, different, but I don't think it's going to be a great difference.
Interesting.
It's not something that is going to change things up like a Rift would.
That's true. That would be awesome. I want a decathlon. I want an Iron Banner decathlon where you take place in a bunch of different ones, maybe once per day. Man, that is how the Dead Orbit or the faction wars could be. Is what if you entered a game one time a day and then you just tally it up? So instead of going in and playing a bunch of games and just forcing the numbers, what if it was based off of like one entry? I mean, I know that there's disconnects and weasels and things like this, and that would be a horrible feeling to have your one vote basically not count.
Maybe every 50th
law of averages,
match,
it's going to work out that every faction gets the same amount of lost votes. So
maybe every 50th match, you should probably run combined arms.
Combined arms. Oh,
yeah,
horrible.
No one runs it. It's stupid. It's a stupid garbage mode.
Right? Horrible. I hate combined arms. And that was the one I was most looking forward to when the game launched. Agrios, what do you think about this? Are you excited about Iron Banner Clash?
I am. I like to see something different for a change. I don't want to say I was getting tired of control, but I've played a lot of control. I'd like to see a new dynamic, and are we going to see any other modes? Is it only going to be Iron Banner Control or Clash, because those are the 6-on-6 modes? Or are we going to see, well, there's also Rift now, so that one's a possibility too. Do you think there's any chance of getting any of the modes that aren't 6v6 for this now? Do we think we're going to see salvage? Do we think we might see a 6v6 salvage?
Man, 6v6 salvage would be awesome. What if you had two probes going at the same time, or could? Oh, well, no. What's that?
12-man Rumble?
I want 12-man Rumble. I won't lie.
12-man Iron Banner next, I'm calling it.
Sharks, what do you think about this Iron Banner Clash?
I love change. I am a little worried though. I mean, I've played a lot of Clash. I've played a lot of all the modes, but I'm going to have to be on point if I want my team to win, because if you have people that are going in there and they're not killing people, it's going to hurt your team. So it's going to be interesting, but I'll be there. I'll be there every day, all week long. So
join up with Sharks. He may pull you into a higher tier of Guardians to fight against, but that's fine for him because he's a great player. Bubbles, are you a big PvP player, and are you excited about this Iron Banner Clash, or was Control the only thing that it should have been because it's much more trying to hold positions. What do you think about it?
I will be completely honest. I do not play PvP in Destiny. I played a ton in Halo, so it's kind of weird, but I don't play it at all in Destiny.
That is really weird. Why do you suppose that is?
I don't know, because that was pretty much always my goal in Halo was like gotta finish the game and then play PvP forever. And that was what I did, but now I just stay away. And I was really bad at it, which was also kind of upsetting because I used to be really good at it. And so maybe that's why I stay away, because I'm like, I just want to have the good memories of being good at PvP.
Yeah, there are people in the Crucible who are trying to rob you of your good times, and I've had those good times robbed quite a few times. um, but so well, okay then. Moving on.
Moving on. So yesterday, the dev team released a companion update that included some improvements for Bungie.net. Bungie's been slowly rolling out a new gear manager. They've been allowing more and more players to have access to keep it from overloading in its infancy. And in yesterday's patch, the gear manager went live for experimentation by all players. It's still in beta, but Bungie says to test it out and give them some feedback. I have yet to use it, but I don't really use the Bungie.net website. I tend to use, the companion app on my Android, and I've used some other things like the Destiny Item Manager extension on Chrome is very excellent. And from looking at the pictures Bungie's provided, it seems that their new gear manager is very Destiny Item Manager-esque. So it seems like it probably works something like that. Although they have said there are some features they have been adding to make things more interesting, such as a one-click type make your Guardian the highest late level possible that will go so far as to pull items from all your different characters necessary to make your character the highest late level possible to, take the brain work out of it for anybody who's maybe more novice at Destiny.
That sounds exciting, but it also sounds nerve-wracking, because what if you click that button and then one of the things that gets transferred to that character is not what you were expecting would have given it the highest light level, so all of a sudden you're searching for your 303 gauntlet and you remember where you put it and you don't understand why it's on another character. I wish that there was a way to kind of know that you weren't just getting inventory items taken away. Like I have so many pieces of gear that if one or two pieces just disappeared, I would probably never notice. Like I've got so many Ruin Wake and I've got so many Havoc Pigeon that if one of them disappeared, I would actually not know. I'm curious to know how they keep all of our stuff. I mean, if I was transferring it and it said it transferred and it never got to my character, I would know. And I really thought that happened to me one time, but because I use both the Xbox and the PlayStation, I had transferred it on the Xbox while I was playing on the PlayStation, and I don't know, that's what it had to have been. But this looks really cool. I don't go to the Bungie.net website very often. But I definitely would like to give this a try. I just really don't have a bunch of room to be moving things around. I just need to start deleting things. I've got too much sentimentality. Bubbles.
Well, see, one of the nice things about like the Destiny Item Manager, for instance, and that this is different from the Bungie. I don't know this will work. I should say with the Bungie one. Because I don't have any experience with it. But with Destiny Item Manager, as long as you have like one slot open, you can just move entire loadouts or just start clicking items and dragging it from one character to another. And it will figure out everything as far as the movement goes. So if you do have a lot of items and it becomes difficult for you to transfer things between characters because of lack of space, something like Destiny Item Manager, that Chrome extension, can really be helpful because it can just literally just ignore all that basically as you move things.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. Bubbles, is your vault full?
No.
Sharks, is your vault full?
Yeah. No, actually, it's not so full anymore.
All the Halloween masks just evacuated, huh?
No,
No, the
I
ones in the
got.
vault stayed there. If you had a rare mask in your vault, it's still there. Mine are still
Yeah,
there.
and actually, if you have glue or a legendary mask, you can take them all out of your vault at the same time, break down the legendary mask, get a glue from it still, and put that into the blue mask and make it legendary permanently before it deletes it or anything.
Yeah, but I don't need to do that. I have all the masks, so.
Well, I'm just letting everybody else in our audience know, for instance, that's if you still have a legendary mask that you didn't want to keep, and you still have a blue mask in your vault you did want to keep, you can take both those out in the tower, scrap the legendary mask, get a glue, put that glue into the blue mask, and now you have a new permanent legendary mask still.
Interesting. Yeah. But no,
Actually,
my vault's not. Back on the other subject, my vault's not full. I have a lot of stuff in it, and I have stuff that I probably don't need in there, but it's not full anymore. And that actually allows me to use. I don't use dim anymore because I hate having a laptop up. In actually the same reason why I won't use Bungie Net, because I don't want to have a computer running in front of me while I'm playing game. But I do use an app because the Destiny app sucks at the moment. If anybody at Bungie is listening, you need to fix the app, because most of the people that are playing use the app all the time, and they've stopped using it because you can't transfer stuff anymore. But I am using Tower Ghost for Destiny, which is like Dim, but it's an app version, and you can transfer stuff straight from one character over to another as long as you have some room in your vault. So that's why I have room in my vault.
That's awesome. That's way awesome. Egros, is your vault full?
of course, way too full. Like every week when if I pick up a new item in the game, I got to figure which item I want to delete if I want to keep it. So every week for Arms Day, I have to count to make sure I have enough slots open for all those packages. And then I buy all the packages on 2 of the characters, and then when it comes to Tuesday, I'm like, okay, which guns am I going to delete to open up room for packages on this character that I'm going to buy from on Tuesday? So.
Jez, is your vault full?
I think my weapons and armor are both about half full, but my miscellaneous items are definitely full.
I would love to see your miscellaneous items. I would bet that would make a great screenshot. Post that for me sometime. Crimson Warlock is your vault full.
My weapons and armor are mostly because I have a whole bunch of engrams waiting for my hunt to get to 25 and 40 and start leveling up light level.
Got it. My vaults are totally full. I think I have 3 spots in the weapons on my Xbox, but that's only because I don't run a lot of Nightfalls on the Xbox because Sharks and Agrios are not on the Xbox. But everything else is totally full. I think I'm gonna post a screenshot of all of it later on, just as a kind of a marking point. Like this is a milestone, if you will. Here's all the random crap that I've kept, because I am way too sentimental. Like there's a bunch of stuff. I'm sad that I ended up deleting some of the greens that I did, because like the Sahara AR3 with focus fire was was such a great weapon. So pleased with that. Moving on.
So the Festival of the Lost is no longer upon us. Over 250 million pieces of candy were collected during the festival. The tower's sweeping robots worked hard to clean up the candy and paper scraps earlier this week. And any remaining candy consumables, rare, the blue masks, and Gifts of the Lost have been converted into keepsake items. Emotes can be recovered from the kiosk in the hangar cantina if you need more copies of those. We mentioned that the stuff in the vault that you had, it stayed intact. No word on how long it'll stay intact, but if you take it out and wear it for too long, it will revert to its crumpled after Festival of the Lost form. Or if you take it under your character and go to orbit, it will revert to the post Festival of the Lost form. So as long as you keep it in the vault or only take it out for a brief period, they'll stay intact.
It says right here, the real question remains, what did Eva Levante do with 250 million pieces of candy? And I think that that's a great question.
They've also noticed reports from Guardians that unclaimed engrams are not being sent to the postmaster upon leaving an activity. These engrams will only be recovered once you return to orbit. So you can't leave the strike early or whatnot if you want to get all the engrams you left lying around.
I wonder if this has anything to do with the newer methods or methods I've seen of exotic engrams and people not getting their exotics. Has anyone seen the version of switching your character after you complete an activity, so you keep the checkpoint and then you just run through different checkpoints on different characters for exotics?
Oh, I was wondering how that was going to come into play, but that makes sense.
Well, I do know that people were, they were doing that kill yourself and the boss at the end of
At
the
the same
match.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing that with like the end boss for Imago Loop, like those types of weapons that would drop. They would just kill themselves and it would drop, but then they would reset and kill the boss again, type thing.
Yeah, I saw a YouTube video of a guy who basically what he'd do is he'd use a 3 of coins, and as soon as he beat a boss, he would actually go to his options and switch out his character and go to another character that had a boss checkpoint and would kind of farm exotics that way. And I wonder if they found that you're not keeping those exotics because you're just logging out of the game and the game's not recording the exotic for
Right.
you.
That what would happen exactly if you didn't pick up the exotic or the whatever engrams were there. The game doesn't save it unless you go to orbit. Now, a lot of the methods, like the one Jez mentioned, and a couple of other methods, involve dying within the actual thing. So you could actually, like the final time, decide not to activate it, and then just pick up and then like go to orbit that final time. And as long as the final time you were leaving, you went to orbit instead of waited for it to send you to orbit instead of leaving early to go to orbit. I know I've done strike playlists and things a lot where people previously, when we weren't getting so many engrams in the levels, okay, we would be able to pick up pretty much everything you'd be able to find. It was more rare than not that you were leaving a lot of engrams in the strike to get from the postmaster, but they changed the drop rate. I know from my previous experiences playing, a lot of times, I never really did it, but I saw others do it. As soon as you would beat the boss and it would tick up that countdown to go to orbit, you could leave right then and go to orbit, and you'd still get all your rewards, including those that would normally pop on the reward screen at the end. You didn't have to wait for those to pop. They were coming to you no matter what already by the time that timer came up in the strike. But I think maybe people were still utilizing that, but with the new engram drop rate, leaving a lot of engrams behind and then realizing they weren't getting them back at the postmaster. So, next, movie of the weeks. We have the Halo version.
Did we lose Remy? Is that what's going on?
I was muted.
Yeah, okay.
I was waiting to see how long he would just sit there and spin. Okay, moving on.
You know, it's oftentimes this happens when we're gaming as well, where I will say something to the people I'm gaming with, and they will respond with what seems like they're responding to me, and that's what happened right now. Is I said some words, and then Agrios said words back that sounded like they were totally good. I'm not usually the one on the mute button. That makes me sad. Moving on.
Okay, so movie of the week. We had Halo versus Destiny live action. There was a lot of effort put into this. It was a quality piece of work. So I highly recommend checking out the Halo versus Destiny. Very amusing. And we also had a War Priest War Pigs parody They actually sang their own lyrics to this. It was kind of entertaining. And I rather liked the last one. The last one was titled 1v3 Trials Win, or I'd like to say an alternative title could be 3 People Who Quit Destiny This Week. And it's well worth a watch. Somebody who ended up in Trials, whether it was due to disconnects or they wanted to try it solo, so they had 2 friends leave after joining Trials.
I bet you that's what it was, because that guy was awesome.
Yeah, he was good. And he really also showed off some of the problems with aim assist in some of the Destiny sniper rifles like Steel Piercer. Because some of those shots were, albeit still ridiculous skill, were taking way advantage of Destiny's aim assists and, sniper mechanics.
I don't know. I've seen stuff like that for years in Call of Duty too. It's just quick scoping in general, But yeah, you're right.
Also, like some of those shots, like the Guardian wasn't even hardly even in view for the time that he shot him and whatnot. So it was a great skill coupled with using the most ridiculous aim assisting sniper rifle in the game at the moment. But nevertheless, I don't care if you had, special god weapons that Bungie gave you that were double as good as they were anyway. That was still an impressive feat.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're listening, dude, I want you on my team.
Right? If you did this well by yourself, I definitely could just hang back way back.
Over them, just like they weren't even there. But that's pretty much it for the update this week. What did you guys think of we talked about that one there, but what about the Halo versus Destiny live action? I thought that was some excellent video footage there. They put a lot of effort into that, and it was very, very well done.
What did you think about that, Bubbles?
I really liked it because I follow the girl who made the Warlock online or on Facebook. So she would always post teasers and stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god, just post the video already. I was a little sad that the Warlock got shot in the head. But I thought it was hilarious.
So, where do you anticipate going with your cosplay? Are you interested? Do you like just the building of the costumes and going and have pictures taken, or do you have aspirations to maybe participate in things like this, like some more producing of content and such?
Oh my god, I would love to do stuff like that. I went to school primarily for theater, and then I discovered costumes. So, that would be so cool. When I saw she did it, I'm like, I'm so jealous, but that's so cool. So I've actually honestly been kind of harassing Bungie a lot, because I think I'm the only Queen of the Reef cosplayer that's in Washington. So, and that's actually close to their office. So I've been kind of slightly harassing them to be like, hey, you should bother me. And but yeah, I would love to do that stuff. I have no idea how to get started, and I have no idea how to do it, but whatever.
Well, the internet is definitely the place to find those people. I thought it was funny. I thought the video was well done, and they took it in a good direction. I was disappointed with your description of it, Sharks. You said that this puts the Halo and Destiny, battle to rest, and I didn't really feel like it did that so much as it just addressed it. But it was funny.
It put it to rest because one team won in the end.
I suppose.
Wait, which team won?
Well, don't ruin it for the people who haven't seen it.
I didn't think a team won, though. I thought it ended it like a stalemate.
Not if you're on that one person's team. All right, so I would say that this is probably a good place to end the podcast. Unless you had any quick tips or anything you wanted to throw out there, Agrios?
Well, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Past week, we had the Extra Life benefit.
Oh, yes.
We participated in that. Our particular community focused event managed to raise well over $11,000 for Seattle Children's Hospital, and the Extra Life campaign as a whole has raised over $6,775,000.
That's amazing. And it was so much fun to be part of that. And I really have to thank River for signing us up for the slot, and really closing it off was a lot of fun. I have a hard time asking people for things. I have a hard time, asking people for money. Like, I've never really been in a position where I could just give to a good cause. It's always been like, well, I'm going to eat. This is what I'm going to use this money for. And so it was really amazing to see the people come out and help and just throw, basically money at this problem. And I don't know. I did want to thank those people just really quickly. It started with Mystic Rose, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Mystic Rose donated $25. She says, "I love kids and I love this community. Thank you all for doing this." Crucible Radio donated $15. This is all while Guardian 1 was broadcasting for the Extra Life campaign. Crucible Radio says, "Thanks to all who organized this event and came out to hang out and support a good cause. This community rocks." Bones from Crucible Radio. Bill Coons donated $100, and at this point in the stream, we're like, "Oh my goodness, this is crazy, right?" Then Jez, who, I love you, Jez. Thank you for listening. Thank you for donating. You donated $15, and you said, "I heard this is the cool thing to do." Reagan donated $5. Thank you very much. And then after Bill Coons donated $100, he donated an additional $100 that says, "This is from all the hunters out there. Thank you very much." James Ponce donated $25, says, "Stay awesome, guys." Logan Hamilton says, "Love being part of this community. Keep it real, guys." Matt Tebbs, then, Format01 from Team Resolute, donated $100, and I thought, this is crazy. Like, we're playing this game and we're talking about this great cause, and here is this awesome dude, $100 just like that. Kyle Miner donated $200, and then says, "Guardians, no matter the battle." And this was amazing because we were at this point trying to reach $11,000 because we had already hit the $10,000 point, and then it's Kyle Miner donated an additional $100. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think that some of this was due to the fact that the accounting wasn't working out so quickly or clearly on the donation page, and they wanted to push us to that 11,000. So from me, Remy, and also Guardian 1 as a whole, and I know River is in on this too, thank you very much for donating. It was a ton of fun, and we look forward to being part of that again next year. A great community, great cause, outstanding. And that's anybody else have anything they want to say about this?
No, just thanks a lot, everybody.
Outstanding.
I
was pretty
wish
cool.
I could have been a part of it, but I was kind of following it on the interwebs, but it sounded really awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good time, and I don't know, it just really goes to show how much this community really is amazing. So with that, why don't we do some shout outs, starting with you, Bubbles.
Oh, yeah, so I'm supposed to shout out to someone.
Yep.
Well, I kind of have to give, I know this is really dumb, but he's in the other room, but I have to shout out to my boyfriend because it's kind of like his fault that I really got into Destiny because when it was first announced, I kind of was like, yay, and then as it took forever, I kind of like forgot about it. And he keeps me sane and helps me finish all my costumes and helps me get places, and he helped me buy another PlayStation 4 so we could play together. But yeah, and that's kind of it, because this community is amazing and I love it so much. I've never met so many awesome people before in one single community.
Right, and on the internet, no less. Like,
yeah.
Great shout out to Sergeant AirBubbles. You kick ass. Sharks.
My shout out goes to my wife, Guru Fu. She's out of town, and she was going to call me tonight because we always talk to each other when the other's out of town. and I told her that she couldn't call me because I was going to be on the podcast tonight. So shout out to you, babe.
Wow, that's amazing. You kick ass, Garufu. Agrios.
I want to shout out to. We'll do a dual shout out. I want to shout out to everybody who participated with the Extra Life. We already talked that till blue in the face, but yeah, big thanks to everybody involved with that, and also shout out to the lonely denizens of the tower in Destiny. I logged on like Tuesday and then yesterday, and normally I can flip through 4 or 5 pages in Destiny's roster of people signed into Destiny on my friends list. There's like 4. And to everybody else who's not a lonely denizen of the tower, welcome to Fallout 4. Have a good time, Wasteland.
Play a different character of a different time.
Right, with a different set of skills.
Well, literally taken at a time, just like your Destiny character.
Right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Just not so
Totally.
extreme. Jez.
I muted myself when I was already talking. I shout out to Pyro and all the other mods that were modding the Extra Life stream, because modding is actual work that you volunteer for. It's awesome.
Excellent.
Especially
excellent.
for a stream that popular with this
Yeah.
tax going the way they go in that, man, the mods had their work cut out for them.
Yeah, when it gets big, it gets big.
Yep.
Right. I imagine like a one of those conveyor tables where it's like you have to put 6 of these cans in this box and then tie up the box, but like instead it's just stacked with cans, and they're just running off of the end of the conveyor belt.
An I Love Lucy parody with modding.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That is exactly what I was thinking.
It's like every 10th can is like a red can, but they're going 20 miles an hour, so you gotta grab the red can.
Right, just gotta flick off 10 cans just to get to that one. Crimson Warlock.
My shout out tonight is going to go to Remy and all of those at Guardian 1 who do the podcast and make a great community of players to play with. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Crimson Warlock. I appreciate that. And so do all the other people in Guardian 1. I love this group. I love this community. It's awesome. My shout out is to Flounder again, because not only did she sacrifice her sleep tonight so I could finish this podcast, but she also sacrificed her sleep so I could do that. So I could do that Extra Life. And she's waking up super early now, and it really means a lot to me that she is so supportive of this thing that I do, this hobby that I have. Like, I love Destiny. You know, there's so much more that I want from it. But as far as everything that they're doing with it, I love it. And her support allows me to do this, and it allows me to do really cool things like the Extra Life campaign. So, Velvet, thank you very much. I love you very much. And that wraps up episode 65. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.